Hey, this is Aaron.
And Blake, we're AB Data.
Thanks for walking through this Alteryx Weekly challenge with
In
us.
this video, we're taking a look at Alteryx Weekly Challenge number 234. Spell it out for me, part 1. As always, the Alteryx Weekly Challenge can be found on the community page under Academy and Weekly Challenge. We're taking a look at challenge number 234 and download the start file if you'd like to follow along with us. This week we're given a relatively small sample set of data with 50 records and only 2 fields. We have an ID and an amount. And in the amount field, we have some whole numbers, we have some decimals to contend with, and we have different range of values. And for the output, we're going to take those 50 IDs and we're going to create this data table structure where we have 12 fields. Field number 10 is always the decimal value, and fields 11 and 12 are the two values to the right of the decimal. So we want to create this structure with leading zeros and trailing zeros, depending on what our starting value is. This is a great exercise to get comfortable working with different data types within Alteryx. If you'd like a reference guide to help with the different data types and examples of what types of values will fit inside each of these, really recommend checking out the Alteryx documentation page for data types. And first we're going to take a look within numeric and look at fixed decimal. And this allows us to assign the number of values that we would like to see to the left side and the right side of the decimal place. So in this case, we want to see 2 numbers to the right side of the decimal. Once we've created that structure, we're going to convert the value into a string data type so we can use some string functions to add those leading zeros and then use it in the string-based regex tool. Our first step is to take a select tool from the favorites bar or the blue preparation category, and we're going to change the amount field to a fixed decimal data type. And from the default of 19.6, we're going to change the scale, or the second part of that value, to a 0.2, which will teach Alteryx that we want to see 2 numbers after the decimal place, or show me the value to the hundredths place. So records 49 and 50 they start as whole numbers, and now they're showing as .00, which is great. Now we're going to use a second select tool, to change the data type to a string with the size of 12. Ultimately, we're going to create a string field here with 12 total characters, including our leading zeros and our decimal. But before we use the string function, we need our field to be thought of like a string data type. But now that our amount is a string, we can use a formula tool and update our field called amount. So where we select a column, we'll just update our value of amount. And let's take a look at our listing of string functions. We want to find pad left. So for the string field we want to operate on, we'll plug in the amount field. We want a total length of 12 characters, and then the character that we want to use to pad we'll include inside of quotes, and we want a leading zero. But this character could really be whatever you want it to be. But for our purposes today, we want a leading zero. Let's go ahead and hit the run button and see what that looks like. So now for each of our 50 records, our amounts have been standardized, and everything has 12 total characters with leading zeros on the left if it's a smaller number, and we've got some zeros on the right side of the decimal if we started with a whole number. And now we're going to use the regular expression or regex tool and the output method called tokenize to take each of these characters and parse or split them into a new field. So to use this regular expression, I'm going to use the little helper in the regex tool. We're going to build a set. We're then going to reference the OR character because we want to teach Alteryx that every time we see a digit or a decimal, we want to separate that character into a new field. So here the pipe delimiting character we'll use to represent OR. We'll then need to escape the special character of a dot or a period. As we can see at the top of our regex list, that normally represents any single character. So a couple different ways we could have approached this regex statement. If we're not sure exactly what these characters are representing, there are some great regex resources available on the web. I'm going to show you regexr.com, where we can paste in a string. So here I'm using this number, but we're really analyzing it as a string, as a piece of text, and we're looking for characters using these expressions. So \d, this is showing me the digits in the string that we're testing. If I want to isolate the dot or the period, we need to escape that as a special character. And if we include the pipe character to represent OR, we're isolating each of the 12 pieces of this string. And when we use the tokenize method of the regex tool, it's just going to separate each of those characters into a new field. And in terms of creating the final deliverable, we need to drop the original amount field. So one more select tool to update our field structure, and we've matched the output. Thanks for following along with us today. We'll see you next week for part 2 of this challenge.
Thank you for learning with us today. Good luck on your Alteryx journey.
For more information on custom training, managed service automations, and more, please visit our website at abdataconsulting.com.